Now, the very young and the impressionable should definitely not be watching this program tonight.
You know, there are thousands of men and women who are secretly worshiping the devil.
Those of us who'd been in secret ops since the beginning knew the Warren Commission was fiction.
What's the most you ever lost on a coin toss?
We also talked about a deeper bond with the product. Nostalgia.
The program you are about to see concerns the mysterious deaths and mutilations of animals in the United States and other parts of the world.
I'm not the Zodiac. And if I was, I certainly wouldn't tell you.
Adrenochrome? If you make any further inquiries, or if you say a single word to anyone about what you have seen, there will be the most dire consequences for you and your family.
Hello, folks, and welcome back to Predictive Programming. I don't have one for this.
Yeah,
he said the only movie podcast that, but we already said not stopping for hitchhikers. This time it's a cop, so I guess it's slightly different.
He said the thing in the intro from the movie. Hey,
he did say the thing in the intro for the movie.
The thing.
I could make a reference to us not calling coin tosses
about the adrenochrome. What?
I got one. The only podcast that travels around and gets to you the same way a coin does. There you go.
I like that. Welcome to our guest and introducer, Cacti, senior staffer for Damn Chicken Scratches. And it's a zine, Dean.
You think I'm hip?
If you give him your address and social security number, he'll send you a magazine. And you don't even have to send him your social security number. I just did that for fun.
Yeah. And you could feel...
I had something, but it would have been too mean, so I'm not going to say it.
Incredible. Well, rest assured, Glenn is under our watchful eye. I'm sure he feels our gaze everywhere he goes.
I do feel...
address.
He feels someone's gay everywhere he goes.
I feel hashtag blessed.
Hell yeah.
I'll use those in 2025. You told me that.
That's true. Cacti is also Predictive Programming's senior Mexico researcher.
That's right.
Which we thought would come up more.
I'm the new DEI hire.
That's right.
That sounds like a Daily Show title.
It does sound like a Daily Show title. I think I'm gonna start doing those Daily Show-esque titles. I always liked those.
Yeah.
Senior blank correspondent.
Hell yeah.
So
shit, I got nothing funny for that right now.
Cacti is joining us for oh my god, I totally blanked out. No Country for Old Men.
Old Country Buffet for No Men.
Well, we kept saying Old Country, and I kept wanting to say Old Country, and I had to stop myself.
I told you, like, I will, without even realizing, just flip-flop at the Old Country for No Men without thinking. Even before I watched it or tried to read it. I can't. More on that later.
See, I kind of misremembered and thought this would have a lot more to do with, like, cartel trafficking, which was why I wanted to bring Cacti on originally, but it's not nearly as in-depth on that as the counselor. So I think your basic summation, Cacti, was yes, people die in shootouts in the desert sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes money goes missing. That'll happen, you know.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's sometimes there's Americans involved in that.
It's
sometimes they're feds.
That seems like a pretty international sort of situation, right? It could be like what Mexicans in Texas with drugs, or like white meth heads in Alabama with drugs, or how's the drug trade in Canada? Can I make a mention of that? They're shooting themselves with maple syrup up there or something.
There's a Vancouver mafia that we've been talking about lately. And I have no idea what they do. I really should learn.
I'm sorry.
As far as I could tell, they're sending it down here too. So it's coming from both sides. We're kind of getting.
I'm sorry.
Drugs in this country.
God, cut that. The phrase Vancouver Mafia is funny to me in a way that few things are.
It's like I guess like you could say that like Carson Wells represents some kind of like American interest in the Mexican drug trade, but that's really about the extent of it.
Well, I would think it would be the guys that hired him because he's described
Well,
as a
that's what I
bounty
meant.
hunter.
Is like his and his hiring is like the guy that hires him isn't even given a name. It's Stephen Root is billed as
Bill
man
Dotrieve.
who hires Wells.
I love Stephen Root, but
I like Stephen Root as well.
He's great.
But I mean, my whole point is like, even like the American interest in the drug trade is not given a very high priority in the actual plot of the movie. So there ended up not being as much to talk about as I would thought. But I was going to bring up Cormac McCarthy and the grooming allegations for Cormac McCarthy because it kind of relates a little bit to the plot of the movie. And it kind of relates back to some of my favorite like enemies on Twitter, which are the Red Scare Girls. So when did this come out? I don't recall.
2007. The book or the movie?
Oh no, the article about McCarthy.
Oh, sorry.
So I'm looking for the date.
Oh,
It's November
the more
20th.
recent one?
Yeah. So it came out like literally just 2 months ago.
Yeah.
Or 3 months ago.
Oh,
November 20th,
it's
2024.
It's the first, so it's two.
So the first thing that I want to say is that some people put together that Vincenzo Barney, along with the girl Augusta Britt, I mean she's a woman now, but may have lied about her age, how old she was. I think some records turned up after the story came out that implied that she may have been 2 years younger. So the story says that she was 16 about to turn 17. That would mean that she was 14 about to turn 15. So it puts it in a very different light. Because the idea originally was like, oh, it's not that bad because A, she could legally consent during this time period, which I find that to be a hazy argument anyway. And B, if this are true, she couldn't have legally consented during the time period because she'd have been younger than 16.
Damn, he pulled a Polanski.
Yeah. He did pull, actually, what? Oh, no, it wasn't this. It was, I think it was Hardcore that we had just done that one of the reviews mentioned Polanski.
Yeah, I bet.
So that happened, and like I think a big reason why that's relevant to me is another article that did just come out, which was the Neil Gaiman one. And like Gaiman got away with it for so long, largely because his papa was a huge mover and shaker in Scientology. I don't know how well that's known. Did you know that, dude?
No, I actually know very little about Neil Gaiman in general.
Yeah.
Like, I saw Coraline, and that's kind of it.
I always kind of found him insufferable. I don't know about you.
All I know is he was one of those big, like, Tumblr things back in like, high school, and that was enough for me to go, I'm good. That said, I did like Coraline.
I think Coraline's a fine movie.
So that's my only opinion on this guy. I didn't know his name, but that's a nice movie. You know, it's got anything that's stop motion's fun to watch. So
I'm big on stop motion. Like I always liked Nightmare Before Christmas for that reason.
I did, and then I didn't, but
I mean, like it got played out when it became like the branding for Hot Topic, but like,
don't let people who buy a lot of bumper stickers ruin your fun, man. You can still enjoy the movie.
No. So like, I liked it a lot as a kid, and then I watched it a couple years ago with an ex, and just like, you know what? I don't like this anymore.
Really? Because I watched it with the kids after not watching it for a while, and I was like, yeah, I actually still like this.
I didn't dislike it. I just didn't like it that much. Like, there's nothing wrong with it. But no, I did not know his daddy Gaiman was a Scientologist.
Oh yeah, and so like that to me explains why he was able to get away with things like raping the babysitter in front of his son for a while.
That bit just makes it so much creepier than it already is.
He was like he had the babysitter call his son like master. It was I feel like I'm getting details slightly wrong because I don't actually have the article up, but close enough for the purpose of this episode, which is
for entertainment purposes only.
Yeah, for this very fast and loose episode. But
yeah.
I don't know. I just kind of thought that like when you're getting the grooming the son detail is fucking insane to me.
Yeah, like that. You know what? I don't want to. I didn't read the article. Like I didn't look into it because like I have no skin in this game. It's like I don't. I shouldn't say I don't care. I'm just like.
I know nothing about this. I know nothing about this, and you're very loud in my headphones. So I'm just like nodding my head to all of these details. I have zero clue. But
oh, did you not read that one, Cacti?
I mean, I read it, and then people were commenting that it was kind of insufferable, and I was like, Are you talking about the article still? The one that was the one that recently came out, where everybody was either trying to cook or defend Cormac?
Oh yeah, no, I was talking about the Gaiman article as well.
Oh, okay, yeah, no,
yeah. The Cormac one, actually, you're right. It took a very like shitty tone where it was very defensive. Well, first of all, like it seems after the point of publication that we can now say that like what's her name, Britt and Vincenzo here collaborated to make the story as easy to go down as possible, especially if they collaborated to lie about her age. But like the big thing for me is like the big defense that he got from all of like these literature girlies that all stem from the Red Scare scene, which ended up connecting like really directly with the Gaiman stuff because they ended up defending him too, and the accusations were even worse. Although like the one thing that is crazy to me about the McCarthy article in particular is that he trafficked her into Mexico.
Oh, something he writes a lot about.
Yeah. So that's the other thing too, is like it implies like some possible firsthand knowledge of some of the stuff that he's writing about.
Right.
I don't know. It just it's weird to me, and I feel like it may be the tip of an iceberg that maybe we'll hear more about in coming years. It connects really well with the stuff that we've done on Hunter Thompson as well, and like I now know too that I don't know how much of this I can give away yet, but I will say that I have an unnamed source that has told me that Hunter Thompson was good friends with Craig Spence. And I don't know, Cacti, do you know who Craig Spence is off the top of your head? Dean probably doesn't. I'll probably have to explain it anyway. He worked with Roy Cohn when Roy Cohn had his trafficking, like his kind of like, not trafficking, sexual blackmail scheme going on. He had kind of like a Diddy Epstein network style thing going on before he died. Mentor of Donald Trump as well.
Oof.
So, yeah.
Really?
My thesis on Thompson as a federal asset feels like better and better every day. But yeah, I mean, like, I guess my point with both of these big articles is they got this huge defense online, and a lot of that stemmed from the big Tealite groups that I've covered in the past, which I don't know. I mean, like, I don't know what the end goal here is. I guess just normalizing the abuse of women and girls.
Implying that hasn't been their play for this entire time.
Yeah, I suppose that's fair. It's Chan culture, and a lot of this like stems from Chan culture. Has always been really big on that. I just made a post this week about how like pretty much anyone that was a big celebrity within that kind of came out of Chan culture is probably guilty of like grooming and abusing teenagers, like Sam Hyde. There are like very credible accusations of him as well. It all just kind of stems out of the same like, I don't know, disrespect towards young people. I don't know how else to really put it, but it's just a reoccurring theme. I don't know if anybody has anything that they want to bounce off of with that.
I mean, abuse towards the young is just like, I think a common theme in like all what would you call it, like messed up power structures throughout history, whether that's just like, good old patriarchy or positions of power in, corporate America. It's usually involves torturing the young in one way or another. It seems to be just an aspect of ritual that's kind of tied to something, that goes deeper. Some psychosexual shit that I'm not qualified to really say anything on, other than, damn, that's fucked up.
I think it also. I know you go, dude.
I'll say it is odd though how many of like them with like the same background end up like the same, like end up doing the same thing online, end up like having the same shit pulled on, not pulled on, but like come out of the woodwork later.
Yeah, I mean, I just, it seems to really go hand in hand with like the fascist post-war mentality that the pod's interested in, and it's kind of, it just shows how it's permeated culture and how all of these authors have varying degrees of credible, but all of them have some kind of credible child abuse allegation against them. And then we have a lot of modern cultural figures who also have the exact same thing. So I don't know. I just felt like it was worth bringing up. I thought it could show potential for Cormac to be linked to deeper networks, to have a potential insight into something that he's writing about, but it's not even nearly as cut and dry as like Thompson. Just having an interest in young people alone is not indicative of being a spy, even if it shows someone that could be turned into a good asset.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think if you make a big enough name for yourself, it's kind of like how brothels are used as and like tools for intelligence. There's like ways of blackmail and just, as sort of headquarters for different sort of operations, because nobody wants everybody to find out that you're a John. So, by the very nature of it, it kind of like lends itself to what the various things that they want to do. It's like if you make a name for yourself, eventually you go out looking for something that, you think your money can buy you and your status can protect you from seeing consequences, and then you end up having some link to intelligence. Because I don't know about you guys, but personally I think all this shit is the feds. So
yeah, oh, absolutely.
I don't think that there's like a cottage industry for child trafficking, or but I think it's all big time, like the CIA and shit. But hey, maybe I'm wrong.
No, I think like even when it happens on smaller scales, like if that person grows to enough extent that they're like starting to really buy, sell, and trade child exploitation material, that the feds are getting involved at some point.
Yeah,
it's like Asimov's son, right? Do you know that story?
I don't.
I can't even remember his name, but Asimov's son got busted for having this massive child exploitation material collection. And
did you tell me about this?
I may have.
Yeah, it might have at one point. I don't remember.
We're talking about Asimov, the science guy, right?
Yeah,
the OG science guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. It's just like how all the Star Trek people always get linked to pedophilia. Not
Hey
the
man,
actors.
they
the
they
fans.
can't help who goes to their conventions.
I was just it's like the early Minecraft YouTubers when they went to like Minecon for the first time and realized every single one of their fans was a 14-year-old.
Ugh.
What? And most of them decided to become groomers that day.
Just the way Notch planned it.
You know, I mean, he's a Nazi.
I was
A
gonna say,
racist,
I
at
mean,
least.
That's
that may not be far off from the
Yeah.
truth.
yes, I do know some things. All right, I'm not as locked in or tuned in as you, but I do know some things.
No,
I mean-
Glenn's the real brainiac on the podcast, especially this episode.
Yeah, maybe
for
on
sure.
this episode.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, you know, it's by comparison. I don't want to
I'm not-
compliment him too much.
I don't even know if I'm as smart as Cacti though. Like, I do some research, but I'm not like not a heavy hitter. I'm not a real one. But like a lot of that stems from having kids, you know.
Oh, you don't have the time to do it. Okay, I thought you were saying
no.
it gave you like a weird edge.
No.
Like there's some weird
Insider knowledge.
Like some weird pseudoscientific like male analog to pregnancy brain.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you have kids, you become a really like talented conspiracy researcher.
Yeah.
That's what happened for McGowan. I never finished my story. Asimov's son.
Oh.
So his collection was so large that it's clear that he was not just hoarding material. He was selling it out to people. No real stories reported on that at the time, but he was like actually a purveyor of child porn, not just a collector of it. And that often becomes the case is they grow, they get these collections. It's commonplace within their communities to trade with each other, where like you can't join a server unless you upload something, which like in addition, the crazy thing too is that not only does that allow these people to grow their collections, but if any of the people involved are a federal agent, it also implicates you in a crime. So to me, it's like pretty clearly that like just like Cacti said, this is something that intelligence gets involved in, not just something that there's a cottage industry around.
Yeah, you have to get plugged into the big system eventually, right? Because I mean, just like we're all being surveilled constantly. At least in my mind, I find it hard to imagine that you can commit that sort of crime for a long time and just never raise any red flags when we're like we basically have no right to privacy at this point in our country. Like,
oh, exactly. Well, and it's like the dark web too is all just like military monitored or intelligence monitored nodes of the internet, so they can see, just like crypto too. They can see when people are making these purchases, and they can see when people are making uploads or downloads through the Tor networks, because they can, like, you have to access it through a node, and they can see that node that you're accessing it through. At least I'm not a tech guy, but that's my understanding of how it works anyway.
Yeah, no, I'm not a tech guy either, but my understanding is, if you're on the computer and you have a connection to something, it's like I think the feds have the tech required to find you. Yeah, I don't think.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing like a good old fashioned notebook if you want us to keep something private.
That's I haven't really like talked about this on the pod a lot, but like I'm very I don't know, like I'm anti-technology, but like constrained to modern society. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like I don't like using all this stuff, but I use it because it's like, for me, as someone that likes having a platform, it's the best way to have one. But if it weren't for that, I don't know how much I'd use technology.
Now I just picture a pre-internet like this, and like we've got it on the public access, like Wayne's World.
Hell yeah, dude!
That rules. Like I would love to do that.
Dude.
I want to get like a pirate stream going.
Yeah, if we were on the radio right now.
Yeah, that way everybody could hear me fuck up your name on the radio.
Yeah.
You didn't fuck up. You got it right, which is what the problem is.
That's true.
And now you got to cut this. Actually, no, you could leave that.
I could
in.
leave
Cut
that.
the actual. Yeah, you're right.
But that honestly, this is something I thought about while watching the movie too. You know, like how a big part of it is like, well, tomorrow somebody's gonna get to the sheriff's office and ask them to, what does he say, like run my information or whatever.
Yeah,
but it's like
inspection number, I think, something like that.
Yeah, the way that they have to hunt each other down and sort of the police following the trail and shit. It's like now they could just like, ping him on their phones or whatever. I don't know. Like this idea of like a paper trail is not really. It's almost superfluous at this point with how many people have like a phone and shit. I mean, at the same time though, you have to register your vehicle. You have to, in order to do anything in society at this point, you're like basically you're getting entered into a fucking database somewhere that's like accessible across the country.
Yeah, I like Social Security and whatnot was the start of that, but it's only become more and more complicated as time's gone on. Like everybody has this very, very long paper trail now.
You buy a washing machine and Maytag has you.
Because when does this take place? 1980? Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So it's like there was tracking and stuff then, but it was not nearly as advanced as it is now. They were still relying on a lot of like mostly just bunk science to get convictions, like things like bite analysis and blood splatters and all that bullshit. Yeah, phrenology.
A bunch of made up bullshit. Yeah.
Now they can just track you down with your cell phone. But that's the other thing too.
They can just show everybody the video uploaded to TikTok of you committing the crime.
I had to do the crime for the Vine.
Dated reference.
It is a dated reference.
It's not even a fucking app anymore.
Well, the other thing too is because of the time that Llewellyn doesn't even think that they're like bothered to check for a transponder in the cache.
Yeah, that was kind of hard to imagine.
It's because of how I guess it just wasn't a commonly thought of technology back then, especially I guess in a rural area like rural Texas.
Yeah, I guess I didn't think of that. I was struggling to explain why. I mean, wouldn't you go digging around in it? I feel like he just looks at the top layer and he's like, a lot of money. It's like, really? That's it? You're not gonna like not gonna make sure it's like all the way to the bottom. What's at the center? Like,
see, you made this mistake. What you do in that situation is you just take half.
I would have probably just taken a stack, honestly.
Or so not even half, just like enough to be comfortable for a while. I'm like, you know what? I don't need the risks involved with this.
Taking all of it, yeah.
They wouldn't notice a single bill. You know what I mean? You
you're right.
A nice dinner for free.
You know what? At that rate, you could probably take one out of each band.
Sit there for fucking 30 minutes, trying to make it look the same.
The idea is really funny to me.
But you do just sitting there taking every band out, taking one bill out of each one and putting it back in the case.
So do you want to start on the movie since I saw mostly? Oh, you had something you wanted to talk about, dude.
Yeah. So let me start with this. How much do you know about Woody Harrelson?
Oh, I actually had this as a note about the plot of Woody Harrelson playing a hitman. It's interesting because of his dad.
Okay, how much do you know about his dad?
Well, his dad is one of the people that's like potentially named as being an additional shooter for JFK.
Damn it, you did know this.
Yeah.
Okay, because I saw that. I'm like, are you fucking for real? Like,
yeah.
So number one, the novel in the movie, it's mentioned. Where's the bit? I have this up. I swear. In the novel, Sheriff Bell says of the dope dealers. I assume this is towards the end where he's at the diner with Tommy Lee Jones. That here a while back in San Antonio, they shot and killed a federal judge. Cormac McCarthy said the story in 1980. In 1979, federal judge John Howland Wood was shot and killed in San Antonio by Texas freelance contract killer Charles Harrelson father of Woody Harrelson.
Whoa, I forgot about that detail there, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fucking
Yeah,
nuts.
so Woody Harrelson's in the movie where one of his dad's crimes is mentioned, and then when I looked down and I read the stuff about the Kennedy. I'm like, all right, I gotta bring this up.
Yeah,
because
I mean,
that's insane.
Like Harrelson's a great example of how a lot of people that end up working in entertainment are intelligence nepo babies. Because that's what he is, and I'm thinking especially of Will Neff, the streamer in the modern era. His dad had one of the I don't know what you call them, shell companies that the CIA was using to run coke in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's like it happens a lot. Entertainers are often the sons. Well, and that's whole like when we talked about Laurel Canyon, that's what that's about. But really, like McGowan focused more on the children of celebrities with parents that were in the military than in intelligence. But it's all the same.
Yeah. But like I was reading that today, I'm like, are you fucking for real?
Yeah, I actually did have a note for that, but I'm glad you brought it up, and I'm glad that you thought to look into that because yeah, it's a big thing.
Well,
and I'd forgotten the judge detail.
Like I said, I like it's compulsive. It has been for a long time that as soon as I finish watching a thing, I go right to read the IMDb trivia page and then the TV Tropes trivia page, and it's like the fourth or fifth thing down. I'm like, actually, it's the second one. Never mind. I'm like, wait, what? I'm like, that can't be real. And I looked it up, and like that's fucking crazy. And that was before before I even read the Kennedy stuff. I'm like, oh, that's like.
Did you see this on Wikipedia here? That Matthew McConaughey, how do you say this guy's name?
Yeah, McConaughey. Yeah,
claimed that he and Woody Harrelson, who have been longtime friends, could potentially be half brothers.
Yes. Yeah. I heard that when they announced it.
That's pretty funny. I didn't see any of this, to be honest. But
yeah, I remember that article came out and like they said they weren't actually going to take a DNA test because they weren't sure if they wanted to know that. Like that's fucking wild if it's true.
It would be really interesting too because McConaughey would also be benefiting from that same like parental largesse.
Why wouldn't they want to know that? It feels like they're spooked out by their own spookiness at that point.
Well,
that's the vibe that I got from it, Cacti, is that they were, especially McConaughey was spooked out by the idea.
Listen, you can't spit roast a girl with your half brother.
Damn.
They do share like
see, that shit ain't right.
They're wiener cousins in True Detective. So
I need to see that. Just their season though.
I mean, there's no spit roasting involved, but that's close enough.
That's not. I don't want to see that. Yeah, I mean, some people say McConaughey is attractive. I don't know if I see it, and Harrelson looks like a baby.
McConaughey is, I mean, like, I don't know. I suppose to a certain type of person, he's attractive in True Detective, but he mostly just looks like he's coked out.
Is that does he have like the long hair and the beard in that, or the mustache? Or is
at the end, not in the sex scene.
Because I've only seen...
The sex scene is like pre him being crazy. He has sex with Woody Harrelson's character's wife.
Oh, right. You said that. Because I just continually see like the gif of him cracking the beer.
He gets when he gets cooked in True Detective.
He gets like Mansoned out.
He is crazy.
From some of the dialogue I've seen, he seems like he's been crazy from the get.
Well, yeah, I guess like it would be more accurate to say he leads into it.
in his nutso era. All right, movie time.
Movie time.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Ed Tom, when he's opening up, because it opens up on like his monologue as Anton's escaping from jail, which I just noticed this time, and I don't know if this makes me stupider or smarter than the last time that I watched this.
Little column A.
Ed, Tom, and Anton sound like exactly the same as names. Not exactly, but they sound similar, and they serve as foils for each other.
Slant rhyme.
Like I didn't really notice this the first time that I was watching, and I don't know. I think it makes me stupider to have noticed the two names sound similar.
This was my first time watching it, and I didn't notice.
I feel like it's something that you wouldn't really be watching for the first time. But as he's giving his monologue is about a sexually violent psychopath that I think rapes a 14-year-old and then talks about not knowing why he did it. Says that he's like the devil or something, and
he said he just planned on killing somebody.
Yes.
Yeah. There weren't no crime of passion.
That's it.
Yeah.
He told me that he'd been planning to kill someone. At least that's what I remember. He says.
You're right. But I thought this was interesting because there are two kinds of crimes that like the feds were both involved in: cultivating sexually violent psychopaths and drug running. So it's not as though they should be a type of crime that he can't keep up with. And truly, like, I don't know about how you all thought about the title, but to me the title is somewhat ironic in that Ed Tom is not bested by the crime. He's just like, he retires because he's unable to protect the people in his community from the events of the crime. He does a very good job following Anton throughout the movie.
He's Byron Orlock coded.
Yeah, he is Byron Orlock coded. I don't know whether this or that is going to come out first. Probably the Byron Orlock one.
And there'll be like 10 people that listen to both.
You'd be surprised. But I thought that it was I guess I thought that the title was kind of ironic because the crime does force him to retire, but he's able to do a good job solving it, better than anyone else. I guess with the exception possibly of Woody Harrelson's character.
Shit, I already forget the name.
Carson Wells.
I mean, who's the young guy in this country? The fucking deputy who kind of is like a doofus. You know, he's always like, by golly, Sheriff, we missed him. You're right. He's like following him around, like glazing him for his genius.
I thought the deputy was Henry Cavill for a split second at first. Just the way he was looking. I'm like, oh no, I looked at him like, oh, he is kind of a doofus.
That is Wendell, I believe, Garrett Dillahunt.
Yeah. Who auditioned 5 times for the role of Llewellyn, I read.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah. But I don't think he would have worked as well.
No. He did really well as the dopey Wendell.
Yeah, you need that guy.
He makes Tommy Lee Jones look more competent, even though he does a good job by himself. You talked about the dopiness of Wendell. I think the scene that best emphasizes that is him laughing at Ed Tom's anecdote about the murder.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, sometimes you just gotta laugh.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's laugh or scream. You gotta let the pressure out somehow.
So we
there's a lot of that. There's a lot of mentions of kind of, I don't know what you would call it, maybe civility. You get this sense from especially all the obviously the non-murderous characters, where it's like, oh, you're telling me that he shot a man in the head and then went around digging with his pocket knife? It's like, oh, well, I dread to think about that or something. All the characters are kind of like that, I feel. There's this, sorry.
You're right. I think it contrasts really well with Blood Meridian, because I think the townspeople are really envisioning this version of the West that is like, it's the same thing as like with chivalry, with knighthood. It's like you think about like, oh, the idea of protecting women or something like that instead of like the raping and pillaging that they did. And it's the same thing with the Old West. You think of like cowboys and like Wild Bill Hickok and Doc Holliday, and you don't think of things like the Glanton Gang.
Back to my my dragging of the Roman Empire guys.
You're dragging of the Roman Empire guys?
Yeah, when I said the reason that so many dudes now are like that is they all think they'd be Caesar, when no, they fucking wouldn't.
Oh, yeah.
All the dudes that man says the Old West think they'd be Wyatt Earp, and no, they wouldn't. Same with damn it, I already forget the one you said before the Old West.
Oh, knighthood?
Yeah. They all think they'd be, at the round table, and no, they'd be in a field at best.
Oh yeah, they would be serfs.
They would be so lucky to be in the field, to be honest.
That's true.
That was pretty good. That was pretty good for a person back then.
Yeah, you could do a lot worse. The interesting thing about that too is like they're romanticizing something that was never there, which is like a hallmark of a fascist lens. But I don't think anybody would ever really call the people of this town fascist, even though like most Americans kind of are. They have a latent level of Hitler particles.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the sheriff at the closer to the end, when he's like, I never imagined I'd see somebody with green hair and a bone in their nose walking down the street.
Yeah,
like,
bone in their nose.
Yeah,
like the most racist fucking phrasing possible.
Yeah, and he says, it ain't the one thing, it's the tide, They see it all as the same, like the kid with green hair, the violent rapist, it's all part of the same thing. It's like our morality is falling apart or something, which I think that sort of like interpretation of reality is pretty fascist.
Oh, definitely.
That's Schrader coded for when we do that.
It is Schrader coded. It's like I don't know if you're familiar with Paul Schrader Cacti, but he's like very religious, and it comes across in his films. The other thing that's interesting too in the opening is the opening, and I guess really just the opening. He carries it with him very shortly after that. He uses it to break into Moss's trailer, but it features the captive bolt pistol that Sugar uses, which is like I probably like very famous, even though it's not really in the movie for that long. But one of the things that I wanted to bring up about the captive bolt pistol, I don't know if either of you two remember this, but for a while they were saying that Luigi Mangione used a modified captive bolt pistol to kill that healthcare executive.
I did not see that actually.
Yeah. They were making they were planting evidence that was also a reference to Catcher in the Rye too. So they were really hitting like all of your good programmed psyop.
Luigi David Chapman. No, I only ever read the Ghost Gun thing.
Oh, also the guy that picks up Sugar later after he hitchhikes. He does hitchhike at some point. Tells him that he shouldn't be hitchhiking, which is like yet another reference to the serial killer epidemic that we're like starting to come out of at this point.
Oh, that was Moss.
Yeah,
that was Moss, not Sugar. Sorry.
Even a young man like you.
So even if Sugar had been hitchhiking, as soon as someone pulled over, they'd have been dead.
Yeah, he wasn't a fan of sharing a ride at all.
Man, he would have hated Uber.
Not very green of him.
Yeah.
He's being
it's
canceled.
Texas in 1980. What do you expect?
Yeah. I mean, the guy he just killed won't be, those greenhouse gas emissions are going to go to zero now.
Have either of you ever seen I joked, but have either of you ever seen No Country for Canceled Men?
No.
Look, I always keep it 100, and that's tea.
That's not what I heard.
I heard you're cancelled.
Yeah, well, who said that?
You know who said it. You thirsty mayo ass. You need to miss me with that. I keep it real with you. Honey, I'm living rent-free in your head. Nah, sis. You're wrong. I'm just sipping the tea. You're cancelled and that's it, Chief. The tea has been spilled.
The tea has been spilled.
Could Bardem have picked an accent and stuck with it?
Oh my god. I think so. Like, other people have talked actually about that aspect. Not his accent, but like how, because I looked at some of the like academic writing that people have done about this movie before we dove into it a little bit. I don't really remember which person it was, but one of them had written about how he represents like a possible more Hispanic background. I was kind of interested in what you thought of that, Cacti, is that he may be more Hispanic than like I guess from Spain than because you had posted about how like the people from Mexico are brown because of native ancestry, and I guess they were saying that they thought that Bardem's character, that Shiger did not have very much native ancestry and represented that kind of like, I guess, colonizer spirit of the East Coast.
Yeah, I didn't get that, but I mean, I guess it would make some type of sense considering that, you know, he is kind of like the judge. I don't know how much I can bring up Blood Meridian considering it's not about that book, but you know.
No, I actually had a whole like aside where I wanted to talk about the similarities between Shiger and the judge. So
Cortez Shiger.
He does. I mean, I didn't really get too much of that while I was watching it, just because it's less. It feels less grounded in that sort of like colonial background as something like Blood Meridian. I think that, but I mean, yeah, I guess that's my bad because it does take place in Texas and they even cross the border and stuff. And
oh yeah, I didn't get that vibe super heavily, but like, I mean, you know how it is with academic writing is like people tend to want to read into it. It's like conspiracy theory study sometimes is people want to read into it their specific area of study. And I think, I mean, that might be an element of what's happening there too. But I think it like when I read that, it slightly resonated with me, but not heavily either. No.
Yeah. No, I think the character of Anton to me just kind of seems like a man out of time. You know, he kind of seems like he kind of fell out of the sky or something. Like he's not from anywhere. I can't tell where this motherfucker's from. His name
he's Tommy Wiseau coded.
Kind of. Wiseau also has like a nondescript accent.
Yeah, what is that? A fucking speech impediment? It doesn't sound like a accent from anywhere.
That's why like everybody's able to do an impression of him because he's not really like doing a hard to do accent or anything. He's just talking weird for the movie. But actually, you brought up the Blood Meridian comparison. There were a couple similarities that I noticed between Shiger and the judge. I felt like kind of similar to how the judge sees himself as a personification of the devil. Like that is what he is in the book, but he also sees himself that way and is kind of like high on his own supply. Even though he's not literally the devil, he kind of, in some ways, thinks he is.
Sure he is.
To me, Shiger is the same thing with the personification of death instead of the devil. That he feels like he's this like almost supernatural or metaphysical killing force that has to exist. And
I like characters like that.
The other similarity that I do like the character. I like both characters. Like both characters are interesting. They're compelling characters, for sure.
Yeah, they also both. I mean, well, Anton, I think more just literally has like slasher from a, you know, serial killer from a slasher film where it's like no matter how fast you run, how many doors you lock behind you, they're still coming at like the same speed. Slowly but surely, they're gonna get to you. Uh, and
Oh
it's like
yeah.
a form of
I did read that the Coens had to work really hard not to make this seem like too similar to Terminator.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
that makes
interesting.
complete sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Another one I haven't seen.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Terminator is
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, right.
Mm.
The other the other similarity too between them is that the judge and Shiger both kill characters that challenge their kind of like delusions of grandeur.
Mm.
Where the judge at the end kills the kid. And it's
Yeah.
largely because the kid doesn't buy his bullshit. And Shiger kills Carla Jean at the end because we don't know this, at least in the
I was about to say.
film.
Well, it's pretty heavily implied.
But because he checks his shoes, yeah, it is pretty heavily implied. He's checking to see that he didn't leave evidence behind or isn't tracking blood out of the house.
Well, I assume that I read that it was he has like the blood on him, like after he kills Woody Harrelson, like as the
Right.
blood is coming, like he lifts his legs up so he's got blood on him.
Right.
Or like the shower curtain bit.
Yeah, no, I saw that the same way.
Yeah.
But he kills Carla Jean at the end because she refuses to call the coin for the coin toss.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a similarity there too. And also, I noticed that this the book, the novel, like the novelization, so dumb of a phrasing for it.
Well,
The
if
novel-
it helps, McCarthy did originally write it as a screenplay,
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, dude,
and
I
that's why
tried to.
apparently it's a little sparser than those other books.
Yeah, I tried to listen to the audiobook a couple days after I watched the movie, and I couldn't do it because it was like a screenplay. Like it was I was like, this is the same fucking story. I can't pay attention to it because it's literally saying it's like describing the movie out loud to me in my head. So apparently the book is just like pretty beat by beat with the movie. I don't know if either of you guys read it.
I did not.
I tried, I couldn't.
I was just glad that I was able to get Blood Meridian in before that we did this, because there were like a lot of similarities.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean,
I even think Llewellyn's really similar to the kid.
yeah, and they're both kind of like directionless and kind of
Yes.
get caught in by some form of greed or promise of some form of benefit. You know, like I don't know what I don't know what the hell the kid was thinking. He's more directionless than even Moss, because at least Moss is trying to get that. I think it's more a story about greed. Like we
Right.
said, you know, he could have taken a few bills and ran off. He would have been fine. But he wanted the whole thing, baby.
He's also like the kid's more aimless, which I think
Yeah.
I feel like in a modern era does even like resonates more with a modern audience even than Moss would.
Yeah, for
I think a
sure.
lot of people feel directionless right now. You know, we talked about the like the fascist elements of what Ed Tom was saying with the other sheriff, but the other thing that is kind of fascistic about his worldview is how he sees like a great violence coming, and he's just like, yeah, I'm gonna withdraw to my little farm, ride the horses with my wife.
My wife. Oh, fuck.
Yeah, this is a strictly anti-Zionist podcast, Dean. I'll ask you not to make references to Borat.
Damn.
It's reflexive, all right.
Yeah. Oh, one thing that I wanted to mention about that connection, maybe not bring up so much Blood Meridian anymore, but the judge and Anton do have this similar worldview, and really, like, it's this. They express this metaphysical interpretation of reality, where they say you know, it's like the coin thing. I got here the same way the coin did. It's like, for me, what the way I interpreted that is that everyone's just kind of being moved along through history and through time. They're not making their own decisions really. It's just an illusion. And so that's why he does like the thing where he flips the coin and he doesn't feel any sense of regret or guilt for any of his killings, because you know he's like the judge or anyone. He's like anyone else in that he is just he's a he's a ball rolling down a slope. You know, he's already gonna has a predestination and everything moves the way it's supposed to, and that's fine by him. It doesn't bother him.
Calvinism.
I was going to say
Yeah.
no. It is Calvinism again. It's that because they're really big on predestination.
Well, and I also think that's why he seemed like distressed at the end when Carla Jean wouldn't call it, because like as long as he's playing on to his set of rules or what he believes, he's not actually responsible or anything. He's just moving the way the universe is moving him.
Yes.
Yeah.
So when she's like, "I'm not calling it," he's like, "You gotta."
Well, and you know what, Dean? I didn't even realize that, but like him feeling flustered there and being like, "No, you have to do this." It parallels the scene with I keep wanting to call him Woody Harrelson, Carson Wells.
I mean,
because he says you would have more dignity if you would just admit that like where you are, like what position that I have you in.
Yeah.
And he also can't admit the position that Carla Jean has him in. Like he cannot admit that if she doesn't call it, he'll still feel the need to have to kill her because of what he had said earlier to Llewellyn, and just because clearly he likes killing.
Yeah, it's almost like the coin is the only thing that justifies not killing for him. The only thing that sort of gets this compulsion away, because he sees himself as just being moved along. It's like the coin is a symbol, a sort of placeholder for the universe, for gravity itself. You know, he's letting the universe decide. Because if it's up to him, he's gonna kill.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really good point. Like the only way to spare someone is to have is to give up his agency, because his agency is just to kill.
Yeah, I agree with that. I like a little bit off what we're talking about, but I really like the part where he's in the gas station and he's asking the guy like, "How long have you lived here?" And he's like, "Oh, it used to be my father's place," and then he kind of like lets out this chuckle. He's like, "You married into it?" He clearly does not have any respect for like these like what from
Like
his
he didn't
perspective
build it
these
himself.
simpletons.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fun little fact about the gas station I forgot. Speaking of intelligence in the entertainment industry, the gas station was also used in the movie Red Dawn.
Oh damn!
Oh,
The original.
that same gas station.
Yeah.
Damn, I didn't notice that.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's where they go and I love that part where they go in their little blue pickup and they put a bunch of Coca-Cola in the back of the truck. It's like the Reds. The Reds are here. The Chi-Coms. We got to go and stock up on Coca-Cola. That's the fucking gas station. That's pretty crazy.
Oh my god, that's such Burger Reich behavior.
Yeah.
I did mention withdrawal is the only option in the face of evil is one of the themes. But I didn't mention this. There's a sense of impending doom that pervades over the story as characters interact with their own agency in different ways. This is like relevant to the what we just talked about. And Shigur's way to interact with his sense of agency is the coin tosses, as Cacti already brought up. But like other characters are unable to. Carla Jean is one of those. She just kind of accepts her fate. Llewellyn like tries to, but is ultimately unsuccessful. He tries to outplay Shigur, does temporarily, but is unable to keep up with a professional hitman over a sustained period of time.
Yeah, but it's not even Shiger that gets him.
Isn't it?
No, it's the Mexicans.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
And I actually really like that he's taken out so unceremoniously and off screen, because like it really shows that like he had no place in these events and they don't give a shit about him. Like the universe, like he's just like, nah, you were in the wrong place, wrong time, and decided to run with it.
Yeah.
Like you weren't supposed to be here. You weren't supposed to know this happened. You weren't supposed to be involved at all. So it's time to go, bud.
Actually, before that, oh no, you go, Cacti.
I wasn't gonna say. I was just gonna say, yeah. The first time I watched it, it was a bit jarring, seeing like a character that has been on screen so long just be like, gunfire off screen, boom, corpse. It's like, damn.
It's another parallel with Blood Meridian. Is the POV character dies technically before the story ends, though the kid dies much closer to the end than Moss.
Yeah.
Moss dies like maybe 80% of the way through the movie, whereas the kid dies like 99% of the way through the book.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also thought once I saw him dead, I'm like, oh, it's over.
I mentioned this like when we opened, but Ed, Tom, and Anton as foils of competency for one another, as well as like other traits. They're both really good at what they do, to the point where they show down at the hotel crime scene after the same conversation that we talked about earlier, where Ed Tom is talking with the other sheriff. They talk about the green hair and the tides. He has the realization that Anton's realized that like small police departments are not going to stake out at a crime scene overnight, and so a safe place for him to return to is the scene of the crime. And Ed Tom realizes this and goes back to the hotel room while Shiger is in there. And strangely, this is the only time that we see Shiger spare somebody without a coin toss.
Well, no, that's not what happens.
Oh no.
No, there were two rooms he could have gone into, and Shiger was in one, and Ed Tom went in the room he wasn't in.
Well, then why was the grate unscrewed?
I don't know, but he wasn't in that one, because if you watch this shot from when he showed Shiger in the room, the door opens the opposite direction.
But I assume that might be an error.
Well, I would
have
grate's
unscrewed because he escapes through the air duct.
Why
Right?
would he escape? Why would he just kill him? I assumed that Moss did the same thing with the bag of money there they had before.
Oh, so maybe he came in and got the money through the other grate. I see. I misread the language of that scene.
Because there were two possibilities, two rooms that Shiger could have been in, and that was the coin toss, and Ed Tom picked correctly.
That makes sense. Then he never spares someone without a coin toss. That was the only possible flaw that I had in that agency reading.
Because I was also expecting him to get blown away. I'm like, oh, fuck.
Yep.
See, I thought he just...
What's the deal with the shotgun? That thing that like is that real? You know what I mean? Like
it wasn't,
and it makes people ragdoll when you shoot them. Like,
it wasn't, but there are
similar
devices now.
Really, there were not silenced shotguns before.
No, and I don't even think before the movie.
No way. I'm looking this up, dude.
Because what I read was that people saw like, oh, that's cool as shit, and we're like, it didn't exist, so people had to basically make it. I could be wrong. I'm no expert in firearms.
No. Hiram Percy Maxim is credited with inventing the first commercially successful firearm silencer, which could be used on shotguns around 1902. It might be too that like the specific type of silencer
I think
shotgun
that might be what it was.
Is a post-movie invention.
Yeah, there's no way that it's that quiet in real life, though.
Oh
right?
No silence. Like they always exaggerate the effects of silencers in movies. That's a big thing.
That's
I'm
why,
not even
because
a
what
gun
I've
guy
known
to
is
know that.
that's why intelligence agents prefer like the 9mm because it is that quiet when you put a silencer on it. It's basically like whisper quiet.
The 9mm with subsonic rounds, I think specifically, is pretty quiet.
I don't know. Look, dude, I don't know anything about guns, but I saw a YouTube video of a guy shooting a little pea shooter gun with a silencer on it, and he didn't say they were special rounds, and that shit was just like, yeah, it sounded like just like the fucking clicking and shit was louder than the actual like explosion of the round.
I mean, I could buy it. I'm not a big gun guy, so I don't really know.
Of course, in my head, I'm thinking like, damn, that's what they do, man. That's what the feds are doing.
Silencing guns.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean,
it was so quiet. I was like, damn, I had no idea a gun could be that quiet.
Jimmy had that War Bell series come out, and that's what he was doing. And he's clearly a Fed, so the Feds were silencing guns.
In the discussion in well-read Soviets, I put a picture of the kids loading the Coca-Cola into the back of a pickup truck. If you guys wanted to see that from Red Dawn.
Oh my god! Oh yeah,
That's the gas station they're at. Yeah,
that is the gas station.
I've never seen that movie either.
I think I saw it on TV ages ago.
Like, I'm good. I don't
Showing
need
it,
to
like,
really
on
want to
Oh,
see that.
dude,
Nick at Night.
it's awesome, dude. You have to watch it. They're watching they're doing like a football game. I think they're having a football game and at like a high school, and like Chinese dudes, or is it Russians? I think it was Russians. I think it's a combination of all of them. Ethnically diverse communists rain out of the sky and just start like mowing everybody down. So the kids jump in a pickup truck and like the first thing they do is go and like load up on Coca-Colas.
That movie rules.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean, like
fucking
for
sick,
all
dude.
the wrong reasons, but
Yeah, it's so fucking it's definitely like Burger Reich level of like.
Speaking of fascist
like
American cinema,
So that's what IMDb said.
Yeah, they agree.
Like I said, that's just what like I'm not taking this
okay,
gospel.
wait, the Remington model. Okay, yeah.
Mm.
Oh no, I would totally believe that there was no silencer for the Remington semi-auto shotgun before the movie existed or before the movie was made.
That's what I'd read.
I think there were probably shotgun silencers, just not for that model of shotgun.
Right. You ever seen a fucking tank silencer?
I have seen this.
Because they exist, and but it's the size of a Volkswagen Beetle. It's bananas.
Those aren't silencers though. They're the other thing. I don't even know.
I don't know that. See, I said
it's a gun.
I don't fucking know.
But it looks like a silencer, but it's not a silencer, and I don't know what the fucking word is.
It's a loudener. See, do you know why captive bolt stunners aren't used for cattle anymore?
Why not?
Because they can spread prion diseases between cows.
Oh, because you're
moving brain material between different cows really quick, and that's why like you don't really read about mad cow that much anymore. Because I remember as a kid, like that, there was a lot of like scare about that, like the late '90s, and now it's like, no, they just.
It's because they're covering it up.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Sometimes, some days I do feel like I have mad cow disease or something like that.
If you know what's crazy,
you want to see a mad cow? Let me show you my mother-in-law. Hey-oh.
I'm supposed to say that line. Cut that.
You can't do as good a Rodney as me. I don't know.
Wait, what do they use to kill cows now?
Shit, I don't know. Do I look like a farmer? Oh wait, I kind of do.
I think they pipe in. I know with at least some slaughterhouses for some animals, they will pipe in like carbon dioxide.
They gas the cows.
Yeah, when they starve them of oxygen. Yeah.
That's pretty rough. No wonder stakes have gotten so much tougher.
Like, they say that it reduces the stress response, like that's what the slaughterhouses say, but then there are like studies that say actually it increases the stress response.
Yeah, literally everything they do to them is humane when they describe it. Like, yeah, we do this. We lock it up in the cage upside down because it helps them relax. They're just like,
Jesus.
Yeah, it looks
the
like fucking the
torture
Spanish
camps that they're
Inquisition in
running.
there, but it's
Yeah.
like,
God damn.
yeah, no, actually it helps them calm down.
Have fun editing this one, Glenn.
What's that?
Have fun editing this one.
Why?
I don't know. I don't know how much of this you're gonna leave in.
I was gonna leave a lot of it in. It's a bonus episode.
I know. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. It's their own fault.
They paid to hear us have fun.
It's relevant. We're talking about cattle guns. It's a big part of the movie.
Cattle. The cattle guns sounds like a weird sports fan group or a shitty 80s country band.
And we've sprinkled some cogent analysis throughout. So there's it's like, people on Twitter just the other day were arguing about the interpretation of Shigur's coin flips, and someone had said that it makes him like the same quality of villain as Two-Face and Batman.
I played with Tommy Lee Jones.
Yeah, actually, that's interesting. Now that you bring that up,
with the coin toss.
But it's just like, just because they share two traits, or one trait really.
Yeah, one.
Does not mean that they're similar characters in any respect other than that.
No, but then you gotta wonder how Brolin and Bardem agreed to each other on day one of Dune.
Wait, is Bardem in Dune?
He's Stilgar.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he just looks wildly different.
Well, he always looks wildly different than he does in this movie.
I made the same mistake. I thought he ended up doing the same career thing that Gerard Butler did, where they went from action movies to rom-coms, but Bardem didn't.
Not really. I mean, he did do some rom-coms, but yeah, he didn't.
And I don't know what he did on TV in Spain. But
I don't know. I know. I mean, like American rom-coms.
I know, but I'm saying I don't know what he did on Spain. On
Oh,
TV.
I see. Before he got his start.
Yeah.
I got you.
I don't think he's been. I got his IMDb up here. He was in at least one Bond movie.
Yeah, he was a Bond villain.
He was in that Pirates of the Caribbean movie I didn't know existed until like last year.
I can't believe they're still making this.
I didn't know
People
there was
are very
a fifth one.
passionate.
What's
They're
that?
very passionate about this movie. I was reading some arguments that people are having, and I didn't hear anyone or read any of the people mention like the sort of Calvinism or that. I don't. Maybe on Twitter they did. Did you see something like that?
No, I didn't.
I think we just said it because we just watched Hardcore,
which is about Calvinists. But like, I think it's relevant.
That's
the
I
reason
didn't.
that you watch all these movies is it gives you a greater lens to talk about
Oh,
the other ones with.
by the way, Glenn, and I'll expound on this later. When you made that bit, said that bit about Jake being the pod mascot, I rewatched that scene. He's a fucking asshole.
Yeah, he is.
I don't want that fucking shit attached to this.
I
am the asshole here.
I was being ironic.
Oh, it doesn't work as well in text.
Yeah. He's not a good guy in that movie, which we'll get into tomorrow with Claudia.
Yeah.
I didn't call it Calvinism, but I do agree with you guys calling it that.
I did.
Yeah, I did. What I'm saying is I haven't seen anyone give that interpretation of it because I checked. I was reading and I thought everything everyone was saying was really fucking dumb and cringe. But I was also on Reddit, so you know.
No, I don't disagree with you. I like when I see people discuss literature online, it is real bad. I don't see a lot of really good interpretation, and I think because this movie was like actually good, and because there's not a lot of like plot heavy details that are really worth discussing. It's more like imagery and theme and stuff like that. This is a really great one to actually flex our little bit of literary analysis chops a little bit, because when I see people talk about literature online, it's fucking atrocious.
Yeah, I think that definitely the comparison to the Judge too really lends itself to that explanation, because the Judge goes on longer monologues about his philosophy and his idea of the world. And I just got to imagine that Anton would find himself agreeing with all of that.
Yeah.
Which probably means that he wouldn't even bother listening because he's too busy trying to go kill someone.
No, he would you could see Shiger as like the perfect enforcer for the Glanton gang.
Yeah.
Like he would be their muscle, like in a heartbeat. With the Judge as the brains.
Including all his doohickeys.
I don't even know if I finished my thoughts, but like the novel came out because I called it a novelization, and I was like, oh my god, that's cringe. But it came out 20 years after Blood Meridian, like almost the exact same year, 85, 2005.
Yeah.
So it almost felt like it was a man looking back at how his career started and echoing like a lot of the same themes.
Huh.
Which is like what Ed Tom is doing in the movie and the book, I assume, as well. I didn't read the book.
Well, like I said, like it's fucking the same thing.
Yeah, yeah.
And I what I read, like the Coens didn't really change a whole, like the dialogue is almost verbatim. They did cut some things I read, but I forget what, and I might give the book another shot, but I mean, I don't have the book. I have Blood Meridian, so I might give that another shot. But
yeah, I think I read something, Dean, that said that they would, like one of them typed while the other dictated, like back and forth, and that was pretty much how they wrote the script. So it must be pretty close to the book. Well, and even the way that it ends is really bleak, and I think maybe that means that McCarthy knew that cancel culture would come from him when it realized that he was unwoke enough to have sex with a 15-year-old.
R.P. McMurphy coded.
It's the tide, you know? It's the tide.
The tide, yeah. That's the tide.
Yeah.
The tide of cancel culture comes for every pederast.
Jesus.
But Ed Tom is like looking back on his dead dad as he's now retired. And I thought the note that it ended on was incredibly bleak.
Oh, yeah.
Possibly bleaker than the other two movies that we watched this week, which were about the sex trade industry and snuff. So it lets you know how philosophically bleak I thought they were. Where the last dream that he recounts to his wife is that he dreams that his father was like up ahead lighting the way for him.
All right, then. Two of them both had my father in them. It's peculiar. I'm older now than he ever was by 20 years. So, in a sense, he's the younger man. Anyway, the first one I don't remember too well, but it was about meeting him in town somewhere. So he gave me some money. I think I lost it. The second one, it was like we was both back in the older times. And I was a horseback, going through the mountains of the night, going through this pass in the mountains. It was cold, and there was snow on the ground. He rode past me and kept on going, never said nothing going by, just rode on past. And he had his blanket wrapped around him and his head down. When he rode past, I seen he was carrying fire in a horn, the way people used to do, and I could see the horn from the light inside of it, about the color of the moon. And in the dream, I knew that he was going on ahead. And he's fixing to make a fire somewhere out there, and all that dark, and all that cold.
I knew that whenever I got there, he'd be there. Then I woke up.
Essentially saying that, like, when he died, that he would see his dad again. And then he says, and then I woke up. And it's like, he almost gets to have a silver lining to everything. But then he wakes up and realizes he feels the exact same way that he did before when he was talking to his cousin, where he says that he doesn't believe it, that God never came for him later in life. He thought he would feel close to religion, but it never happened. And that's something else that I didn't see people talk about online at all. Is like how dark the ending is. It has a very existential darkness.
It's very different from the darkness we'd been watching for 2 hours.
Yes. Yeah, instead of that's a good point.
Because
as well,
it's not
Dave.
as visceral or a smack in the face as Anton Chigurh.
Yeah,
it doesn't. You really have to either be paying attention to it or like on your second or third viewing.
Yeah, I think that's true.
Because, like I said, I messaged you. I'm like, wait a minute, was it all a dream? Because the way he described that first dream, he thought he was young, and his father gave him some money, and then he lost it. I'm like, wait a minute, was the movie just a dream?
How do you all interpret that first dream? I was a little confused by that.
I thought it was just the plot of the movie. He found some money, then he lost it.
Oh, duh! You're right. You're right. It is the plot of the movie.
So I was like, wait, was the whole thing a dream?
The first dream was him, because that is what dreams often are. Like, you're assimilating the events that you've lived recently into your memory.
Yeah.
So the first dream was just him recounting what's already happened, and then the second dream was like the dark, ominous ending note of there being no afterlife.
Shit.
Yeah. Which, like, also would possibly, if McCarthy is a rapist, and he is.
Well, he's dead.
Right. I almost think the desire for there not to be an afterlife is like a wishful thinking thing. Because it's like, oh, I've done something horrid. So if there's no afterlife, that's the best option for me.
Wait, Kissinger coded.
Yeah. That's all that I had on the movie. If anybody else wants to say anything,
Trying to think something deep, but I got nothing. I shouldn't have put off watching the movie till last night.
Yeah.
I think that's
I watched
the best.
I watched it as soon as you told me that this was going to be the movie, and then I watched it literally like right before I was trying to get on the call.
Yeah, that I should have watched it twice.
Yeah, but I don't know. Certain things do just like the end. I couldn't even remember. First of all, right now when I was watching it, I couldn't remember how it ended.
Oh yeah.
Like, how does it end again? Like I just remember that Moss gets shot by the cartel. I was pretty upset about that the first time I watched it because his mom's like just, loose lips sink ships type shit.
Yeah.
Just this like random guy comes up, is like, "Oh, where are you going?" And she just tells him everything. She will not shut up. She's in the car. She won't shut up in the car, complaining. I personally have no sympathy for her. So, and he got him killed.
Yeah.
I know that if it was real life, I'd feel differently about it, but it's a movie, so I was kind of rooting for him. I was rooting for Llewellyn.
Yeah,
to
no,
get
I
away
was
with
too.
Money.
He has an old-fashioned name as well.
Yeah.
Which
Llewellyn
kind of
Moss.
Talking about like the harkening back to an old age that didn't exist. Llewellyn's like a, I don't know, like an 1800s name or like an early 1900s name.
It seems like a surname more to me than the first name, but
Pretty sure I had like a great uncle Llewellyn. Honestly,
it's like
I feel
another
like some
Cohen,
weird ass fucking names on my
like
mom's side.
another Cohen's thing, like inside Llewyn Davis. It's Llewyn, but my brain wants to say Llewellyn Davis.
I thought it was Llewellyn Davis as well.
It's not. It's Llewyn.
Oh, that's Llewyn, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, which I need to watch it. I've heard it's really good, but what's your favorite Coen Brothers movie?
Ooh.
Yeah, I know it's
I'm wearing a Big Lebowski t-shirt for the recording, but I actually think it's Fargo.
Didn't they do what's the cowboy one?
True Grit.
No, I'm thinking of something else.
They did True Grit in 2010.
The Ballad of Buster Scruggs. Did they do that?
Oh
one?
yeah, they did that one. Yeah, I haven't
like
seen that one yet either.
That's good.
Yeah.
I have trouble picking between Miller's Crossing and Barton Fink.
Oh, Miller's Crossing too. Oh, and Barton. Jesus, they have a lot of heavy hitters.
Yeah, because like, and here's the thing. As much as I still love it, Lebowski's like my second least favorite Coen Brothers movie.
Yeah, it's not super high for me, having seen more of their work. It's a good movie. It's a really good movie, but it's not.
Yeah, I equate it to be like Rush or the Beatles or something. It's like, yeah, it's my second least favorite of theirs, but I'd still rather watch it than like a lot of other shit.
So if that's all we have to say, then stay safe out there.
And just avoid Texas, like not just Waco, like everywhere.
In general,
stay anointed.
Exorcisms of the devil appear just as sincere, far out, and dramatic.
Where one system is trying to change the other system.
It's a widely held opinion that what happened at the daycare was the devil's handiwork.
Murder, executive action, what affairs as they call it, has been a part of the institutionalized action force of the Central Committee.
Satanic messages on some rock music recordings.
Enter the target without perception.
Because it deals with gaining the objectives short of nuclear war. And it presents to the West, by the various themes that it promulgates, what I call a wilderness of mirrors.
If they don't have an intelligence service, they're going to create their own. It may not be very big, and they may reach into the loony bin to find the people who run it.
Now watch this drive.
But they will have it.
They can have you believe whatever they desire you